this is your girl Alicia Pink, and welcome back to my channel. If you are returning, but if you are new, welcome to my channel. You know, in this channel I talk about manifesting. I also talk about, you know, the law of attraction. I talk about, you know, spirituality and self-help, motivation, and I do a little bit of, you know, reaction videos on this channel as well, and I speak my mind. And today is going to be a little different. I wanted to talk, you know, story time, and it's about me growing up without a father. You know, I've been hesitant about making this video because I'm like, it's a little personal, you know. And I did do a podcast called Estranged Siblings, as well as Daddy's Broken Little Girl. That was my very first podcast that I did, and I talked about growing up without a father, but I never did a video about it. So I wanted to do a video about it, you know, about growing up without a father. This is basically like part 2. So part 2 to my podcast. You know, check out my podcast. It's the Alicia Pink is on Anchor. It's called Alicia Pink. It's on Anchor. You know, you can check out my page, and I have the link, and I will also have the link down below in the comment sections or whatever. You know, so basically growing up without a father, you know, it's something that unfortunately the African American community, Black women can relate to. You know, not all Black women, but a lot of Black women can most definitely relate to growing up and not having that father figure in their life. The only male figure I probably had in my life growing up was my brother, who was about 10 years older than me, but he was still a boy. And you know, he wasn't much of a father. But I also had their father as well, because I am the youngest out of 5. I have 2 brothers and I have 2 sisters. They are all older than me, you know, like 10, 15 years older than me, you know. So I always felt like the only child growing up, because they had their own lives. You know, I was the baby. They had their own lives going on. They were teenagers. I was the baby, you know, and they basically had to drag me around with them because my mom had to work. I kind of felt sorry for them, but you know, they drug me around with them and things like that. And you know, I was the baby. I was just, you know, a child, and they had their father in their life. They all have the same dad. You know, all 4 of them have the same father. I was the only one that had a different dad, you know, but he was never around. The only thing I remember about my father was maybe I think I was maybe 2 or 3. I'm not sure how old I was, but maybe older. I'm not sure. I have no idea, but I know I was a baby. Was I walking? I think I was. I don't even. But anyways, I know that I was in his apartment. I was playing with toys, and he was playing with me, and then my mom came to pick me up, and that's the only thing I remember of him as a child, you know, as a baby. And I didn't see him again until I was 12 years old. Yeah, I was 12, going on 13. I was 12 years old. He came around. The first time I met him, I remember the first time I met him was at the courthouse, because it was a visitation thing, and I guess I don't know anything about the custody. I don't have any kids now, but I guess you have to, like, what is it called? People have to watch or whatever. I don't know, I forgot what it's called, but you know, people have to basically like watch what's it called, supervising visits. I think that's what it's called. I think I had that at first with him when I was like, you know, 12, and I met him in the courthouse, and we were talking, and I just was like, oh my God, I look just like this man. And he was apologizing to me and saying like, oh, I'm sorry I haven't been around, blah blah blah. He said, oh, you're my only child, and you know, you're my only child, I don't have any other kids and stuff like that. And that's probably the only thing I remember out of that conversation. But he started coming around. I think that was the only time we had that visitation thing. But he started coming around more often, and I remember him being married, and him having two foster daughters or whatever. Yeah, because him and his wife didn't have biological kids. I don't know if she could have kids or not, but they didn't have biological kids. They had two foster children or whatever, two girls. And I remember him bringing her over to meet me, and he said, oh, this is my foster daughter or something like that. And we all went out. I forgot where we went. I think we went to go get ice cream or something. I have no idea. Or we went shopping. I don't know the specifics, but we all went out, whatever, and I got along with them. They seemed cool and stuff like that. You know, he took me over to his house, and I met his wife and things like that. She was nice to me. You know, so it was all cool in the beginning, you know, but as I think like a month or two, he started trying to be like trying to tell me what to do, and I wasn't feeling that, because I was a child and I don't know you like that. You're a stranger to me, you know. I just met you and you're trying to boss me around, and I wasn't feeling that, you know. I'm like, the only person that could tell me what to do is my mother. You know, so, and also I'm not going to sit here and lie, I was a little jealous of the relationship that he had with his foster daughters. You know, they were calling him dad. You know, I called him by his first name because he was a stranger to me. And they were calling him dad and all this other stuff. And I was jealous. I was a little girl. I was a little jealous, because I'm like, they get a chance to live with my father. They get a chance to call him dad. And I just, you know, I didn't know who he was, and he wasn't around. He was never around, and I'm just now meeting him, you know. And they already was visiting his mom. I never met my grandmother on my father's side, so they got it. I remember, I mean, I don't remember much, but I remember being at his house, and they said they were going, I guess she lived down south. They were all going down south to go visit her. And he's like, I hope one day I could take you with me. And I'm like, does she even know I exist? That's what I thought in my head. I'm like, does she even know I exist? You know, I'm like, what grandparent would want to be a part of their grandchild's life if they knew they existed? You know, whatever. But you know, and I felt some type of way, because I'm like, these girls that's not even your biological freaking child get to see my grandmother. They get to call you dad, and I never got a chance to do that. So I was kind of jealous, and I felt some type of way about it. You know, I was a girl. You know, girls get jealous. So I felt some type of way about that. I told about my mom, and she was like, you know what, you could just write him a letter and just tell him how you feel. So that's what I did. I wrote him a letter telling him how I feel, that I didn't like the way he was talking to me, and I didn't like the way how I felt some type of way about his foster daughters, and how I felt left out and things like that. I don't really remember the letter that I wrote him, but I wrote him a letter. He read it, and I guess it broke his little heart, because after that he stopped showing up. It was a wrap. He stopped showing up. He didn't show up anymore. I didn't see him after that, you know. And so after that I didn't see him anymore, and I didn't see him again until I was, I believe, 18. We were in it was me and my mother. We were, I think, a social service office or something like that. I think it was something that had to do with him, my mother, and me about child support. I'm not sure, because, you know, my mom didn't really give me the details. But I was there, and I just turned 18. He was there. And I remember I was walking out because it was so crowded, and I'm like, I'm going outside to get some air. So I was walking out. As I was walking out, he was coming in, and we looked at each other, and I just walked right past him. I didn't say anything to him, he didn't say anything to me, and that was that. And that was the last time I've seen him. I am now 31 years old, and I haven't seen my father since I was 18. So, you know, growing up without a father, I remember when I was 8 years old and I had a little mini breakdown. I was standing in the mirror and I was just crying. And I don't know what happened that day to make me act that way, but I know I was 8 and I was crying. I'm like, why doesn't my dad love me? Why doesn't he want to be around me? What is wrong with me? Like, why do other people have their dad in their life and I don't? Why my sisters and brothers have their dad in their life and I don't? You know, what is wrong with me? You know, because my sisters and my brothers, their father was in their life, and every summer they went over his house in the summertime. You know, I guess because they didn't want me to feel left out, I went over the house too. I had to be about 3 when I started going, maybe older, a little older, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and I came along with them in the summertime to go over their dad's house. And I looked at him as like a father figure as well. You know, he never treated me differently from his biological kids. He was still sweet and nice and kind. So, you know, that was a little bit of a father figure in my life as a child, but he wasn't my dad. You know, I knew he wasn't my father, and at a very young age I knew he wasn't my father. But I still always felt left out. I always felt like, dang, I really don't have a father in my life. And I always felt like I was unwanted growing up, you know. And their father died when I was maybe 13 years old, suddenly. And when he died, it was hard on me because, you know, he was the only father figure in my life. You know, even though he wasn't my biological father, he was still like a father figure in a way, you know. But yeah, like, I always growing up, wanted to experience the father-daughter dance. I always wanted to celebrate Father's Day, but I never got a chance to do that. Sorry about the sirens. I had to cut it off because I'm like, oh my god, really? I'm recording and the sirens want to come on. But yeah, so, you know, growing up, I always wanted to have that daddy-daughter relationship, but I never got a chance to have that. You know, and I did hate him for a very long time. I could care less if he lived or died. I truly hated him. You know, like I said, their father died when I was 13, and it did take a toll on me because, like, he was like the only father figure in my life. You know, even though he wasn't like a full-blown father figure, but he was there. You know, and it did take a toll on me. You know, growing up, you know, I never knew what it was like to, you know, my father was supposed to be the first man to teach me how a man's supposed to treat a woman. I didn't know how a man was supposed to treat a woman. I didn't know what that was like. You know, that's why when I was younger, I dated a bunch of losers. You know, I lost my virginity at an early age, you know, because not only did I have abandonment issues with my father, I had abandonment issues with my family, period. You know, my mom, she worked a lot, you know, and at a young age, I had to take care of my brother who was older than me, but he had autism, mentally challenged, you know, and I had to take care of him because my mom had to work, and my older brothers and sisters, they had their own life. They were in school, they were working, wherever. you know, and I was the only one. I was home taking care of my brother, and I was young. I had to be like 12, 13 years old at home taking care of a grown man. And I kind of sort of did have some resentment towards my family because I felt like I didn't have a childhood because I was at home all the time. I didn't experience going to being a high school student and hanging out with my friends, going to the mall, going to parties, going to the movies or whatever. I didn't experience that growing up because I was always home and I was taking care of my brother. And you know, I just wanted a little help. I'm like, y'all could have came over to check on us and to make sure I was okay and to at least take the burden off of a child taking care of a grown man. You know, I love my family, but I really resented them for that. You know, my older siblings, you know, they moved away to, you know, their own lives, and you know, I totally get it, but you know, it would have been nice to have help. And like I said, like I had abandonment issues with them because I haven't spoken to them. I really didn't have any relationships with them, you know, because they were much older than me, and they were far older than me, you know, 10, 15 years older than me, and they had their own lives, and I was home with my mom and I was by myself. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up as well, so I always felt alone, and that's how I became a little bit of an introvert, because I didn't really know how to express myself and how to communicate with other people. So I just kept quiet, and I became really shy and really quiet and really introverted. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm an extrovert. I am still a little introverted. You can check out my first video, being an introvert. I am very much of an introvert, and I do keep to myself. I am very quiet, and I don't have any friends right now, actually. And you know, and it's been that way since I was a kid. You know, I learned to accept that. You know, I don't need people that much. I am very independent, so I don't really need, you know, a group of people. You know, it would be nice to have at least one good friend to vent. It would be nice to at least have one good friend to vent to, but I don't even have that. That's a whole different story time of how and why I don't have friends. Whole different story time, but I'll get into that some other time. But yeah, you know, like I said, I don't have any friends. You know, I'm not close to my siblings as I would like to be. But hey, it is what it is. I still love them. I still got love for them. And you know, just recently I just connected with my older sister. You know, she's going through some things, and we connected and we are talking again. And so yeah, I'm happy about that. You know, because we haven't spoken in years. So that's a whole healing process that we have to go through together. And also, you know, like I said, growing up without a dad did lead me into a state of finding love where I shouldn't have been trying to find love. You know, like I said, he was the first man to teach me that men ain't ish growing up. I mean, I know that all men aren't the same, because I have a wonderful boyfriend who is amazing, and I love him, and he has changed my life when it comes to viewing men. Because at one point I hated men. I didn't want to be involved with men, because every guy that I ever dated was a jerk, basically. And I didn't have good relationships when it came to men. And I think a lot of women who grew up without fathers have bad relationship, have bad karma when it comes to men, because basically our dads didn't teach us how to love a man. You get what I'm saying? Like, he was supposed to be the first man that we were supposed to love, the first man that we were supposed to trust, the first man that was supposed to protect us. But we didn't have that. We didn't have that experience. So the first man that does come into our life, that is showing that we gravitate to them, we cling on to them, and it doesn't matter if he's an abusive person or a cheater or it can't even come out of my mouth, or if he verbally abused you. It doesn't matter. I've been in verbal abusive relationships. I've never been in a physical relationship, thank God. I've never been in that, but I have been in verbal relationships. I have been in a relationship with men have cheated on me. And, I've also been in a relationship with guys that just wasn't good for me. And I've been with men that did not see my worth and did not treat me the way I was supposed to be treated, because I didn't see my worth at the time. I didn't see my worth. I didn't see my value. I was in a low point. I was just finding myself. I was a young girl just finding herself. I was vulnerable. I was at a low point. I had low self-esteem, and I wasn't confident, and I was insecure. I was shy. I felt ugly. I felt depressed. And some men can sniff that out of a girl, and they can take advantage of that. And I truly believe if I had a father in my life, I probably would have never did that or attracted those men into my life. You do attract what you feel, and I felt like I wasn't worthy of having a good boyfriend or having a boyfriend. I always used to chase and cling after guys who didn't even want me. That's how bad it was. I guess because I was literally chasing after my father because I felt like he didn't want me. So I was chasing after guys who didn't want me. And that was bad as well. I was in my early 20s when I was in the low point of my life, and I did try to harm myself. I tried to take my own life. That was a low blow. And it was all due because of a relationship, which was, when I look back at that, I'm like, oh my God, really, girl? Really, girl? But, I grew up, I am no longer that person, but like the relationships that I had growing up until I was a teenage girl to now as a grown woman in her 30s, even if it wasn't just with men, with women, with friends, it was bad. So it was abuse in a way, because I truly believe that abuse come in many forms. It could come as a man cheating on you and you still taking him back. It could come as, or whoever you're with cheating on you, you still letting them come back into your life and letting them keep doing it. That's abuse, period. You letting someone verbally attack you and telling you you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, your body isn't good enough, because I've dated guys, because I've always been a skinny girl, and I've been a little bit overweight, but I've always been a skinny girl, and but growing up, and I dated guys that didn't like my body, basically. They always wanted to change me in a way. I always, there was like, I remember this one ex-boyfriend, horrible ex-boyfriend that I had. And he was like, oh, girl, he was like, if you had a fat ass, I would marry you right now. And I'm like, well, that's not happening because I'm skinny and it's hard, and it sucks because a lot of these girls, they get butt injections and breast implants. I mean, I have nothing against that. I really don't. If that's what you want to do and that's what makes you happy, do it. Long as it is for you and no one else. Don't do it for no man. Please, don't do it for no man. You know, and if my self-esteem was that low to the point where I felt like no man will want me unless I get some butt injections or some breast implants, then I will probably be on someone's table getting that crap injected into my butt. And a lot of these girls, they get these butt implants and things injected into their bodies over what some man want them to do, and they end up dying for it. And I'm just so happy that I left that person, because obviously they didn't see my worth, and I didn't see my worth as well. You know, sometimes you have to look at yourself in the mirror and you have to say, why am I keep attracting these people into my life? Why am I keep attracting these abusive men or these abusive women or whatever you like into your life? Why are you keep attracting that? Sometimes you have to look into yourself, look in the mirror and say, okay, how do I really feel about myself? Like, seriously, how do I really feel about myself? I had to do that. I had to look in the mirror. I'm like, how do I really feel about myself? You know, do I like me? Do I think I'm attractive? Do I think I'm pretty? Do I, think I'm worthy of a good relationship? Having a man respect me, love me for who I am? Because all men aren't the same. I don't care what anybody says. All men aren't the same. There are some good men out there that will love you, respect you, stay faithful to you, and treat you the way you're supposed to be treated. But you have to learn to love yourself first for that, period. And I had to learn to love myself, and by me learning to love myself, it made me forgive my father. Yes, I did resent him for not being around and for abandoning me, but I forgive him. I forgive my siblings because I also felt like they abandoned me and they wasn't around. I forgive them. I forgive my mom. She had to work. She was a single mother doing her best, taking care of a mental, artistic son by herself, by the way, and taking care of a teenage daughter who was a rebel, because I wasn't the best teenage girl growing up. I wasn't the best, okay? In school, I got bad grades. I skipped school a lot. I hung out with the wrong crowd. So I was having sex before and I shouldn't have been having sex. Thank God I didn't get pregnant, but that was just nothing but the Lord above. Okay, because, I was doing stuff I had no business doing, basically, when I was young. When I was 13 until I was 18, 13 was kind of sort of my most rebel year yet. I did a lot of stuff I had no business doing. A lot of stuff a 13-year-old girl should have no business, 13-year-old child, boy, whatever, had no business doing, and I was doing it. So, as I got older, I learned to love myself, and I learned to forgive. I forgave my dad, I forgave my mom, I forgave my siblings, and I forgave myself. I forgave myself. I had to forgive myself. And I'm like, what I did was wrong. But once as a young girl, I did some stuff that I shouldn't have no business doing. And a lot of things that I was smoking, I was drinking, I was having sex, I was sneaking out, I was skipping school. I was doing a lot of stuff I had no business doing. As a young girl, I was getting bad grades, and I think I did it because I wanted attention. I wasn't getting attention that I was receiving at home. My mom, I felt like I wasn't getting attention at all from anybody. You know, my siblings didn't check up on me. My mom was always at work, and I had to take care of my brother, who I love to death, who was artistic but nonverbal. He's nonverbal, artistic man, still is. And so I had to take care of him. And I think that's also what made me get into the field of taking care of people, because I love taking care of people. That's a whole different topic. But you know, so that's what, you know, I just felt whatever. My friends were there, they showed me attention at the time, you know, even though they weren't good for me. I did it, and I wanted to fit in, so I did whatever they wanted me to do. And you know, but hey, you know, the first time I had sex wasn't pleasant at all. I was 13 years old, and it was with a boy that I didn't even know. He was older than me. It was in my apartment, you know, because I remember, yeah, it was in my apartment. My mom was at work. We skipped school. Me and the two girls that I hung around with, who were bad influences, we, you know, because they were already having sex, they were already, you know, doing them. I was the only virgin in a group, and it was like, girl, you need to lose your virginity. Child. It's like, girl, you need to lose your virginity. Like, you are too old to be a virgin. I'm 13 years old. My little 13-year-old brain was like, yeah, I am too old to be a virgin. Child. But you can't change the past. But anyways, my little 13-year-old self was like, okay, yeah, I want to be like them. I want to lose my virginity. So we all skipped school, and we these boys, one of the boys that we hung out with brought over his friends who were older, because he was like a little gang banger. So he brought his little friends over to our house, to my apartment, because my apartment, I had the only free house, because my mom was never home. So I had like the free house, and my brother was at school, and it was just us. And so this boy that I know, well, I didn't know him, but all I know is that how he looked. He, you know, I was obsessed with Little Bow Wow growing up. That's how old I was, girl. I was obsessed with Little Bow Wow growing up. I was, what, how old was I? You know, I was like 13. He was like 13 around the time he just came out, when Bow Wow just came out. And the boy reminded me of Bow Wow. So I was like, oh my god, he's so cute. He got braids, he light skin, I like him. So you know, he was sweet talking to me and stuff. All I know is that he was like maybe 16 years old or something. He's sweet talking to me and stuff, and next thing you know, I'm in a room with him alone, and it happened, you know. So, and I didn't even know, I only know his name and his age. That's it. That was my first time meeting him. And then when it was just a mess. And after that, I didn't have sex in a long time after that, because I just felt like I wasn't ready, and I was kind of sort of peer pressured into it, because I didn't want to do it, because I literally wanted to wait until I got married to have sex, but it didn't work out that way. But anyways, and I did it, and I instantly regretted it, and I didn't have sex for a long time after that. But whatever. Yeah. So let me get this right. So I, you know, growing up without a father, it can be tough on a little girl. I think every little girl needs a dad, you know. Even if it's not their father, at least some type of father figure, some positive father, role model. that's a male, will change a girl's life for the better. I'm not saying that all girls that grow up without fathers are going to be promiscuous and have bad relationship with men, because that's not true. Because there are a lot of girls who grew up with fathers and still have bad karma with men, you know. So I'm not saying that, but I know personally, me growing up without a father, I truly believe it had an effect on me and my relationship with men, and also my relationship with myself, loving myself, feeling abandoned and not wanted. And I had to realize that I am, you know, I had to learn to love myself, and I'm still working on it, because I don't know everything. I'm not, you know, perfect. I'm still working on my self-esteem. I'm still working on loving myself. But what helped me was journaling and meditation and reading self-help books and taking social media breaks, okay? Because social media is the freaking devil. It could be used for good or bad, you know. And I had to take a break, you know. I stopped comparing myself to other people, you know, so that helped me a lot, you know. And I had to learn to forgive my family, and I had to learn to forgive my father for not being there. I don't know his story. I don't know why he wasn't around completely. I don't know why he wasn't around completely. I don't know his story, you know, but I do forgive him. You know, I forgive him for not being around and not making an effort. You know, I could say one thing. He did make an effort when I was in my early 20s. I think I was maybe 23, 21. I think I was 22 or 23 years old around that time. He friended me on Facebook, and then he messaged me, and he asked, can he talk to me? So I agreed. I said yes. I gave him a number, and we talked. We didn't talk over the phone. He just said he wanted to meet me somewhere. But that day, I said okay. But that day, I was actually busy. I wanted to get my nails and my hair done at the time, and that's what I did. And after I got my nails and my hair done, I was going to meet with him. And but I guess I was running a little too late, and he left me a voice message saying, "Oh well, I've been waiting here for a while, and you haven't showed up. If you didn't want to meet me, then you just could have said so." Excuse me? Told me. So I'm like, what? Really? Like, we haven't seen each other since I was 18 years old, and this is the message you want to leave me because I'm running a little late to meet you? So after that, I was like, I don't need that negative energy in my life. So I just blocked him on Facebook, and I haven't spoken to him ever since. But you know what? I do forgive him, you know, because he obviously does not know what he is doing. As a man, you know, a child should never have to reach out to the parent. The parent should always reach out to the child, period. You know, you created that child, so you have to, if you want to have a relationship with that child, it should be you that wants to reach out to them. But whatever. But I do forgive him. You know, I had to learn to forgive myself in order to forgive him. I don't know his story. I don't know why he wasn't around. You know, I believe there's no excuses. Because if you want to be a part of your kid's life, you will move heaven and earth to be with them. I don't care what drama or what is going on. Nothing or no one should come before your child. Period. That's just me. That's my opinion. But, you know, me personally, if I have a kid, no one is coming for my kid. Nobody is going to stop me from being a part of my child's life. You know, so with that being said, but I do forgive him. I do love him, and I wish him all the best in the world, you know. You know, he wasn't a part of my life. That's his loss, not mine. But I forgive him. You know, it is what it is. You know, I turned out to be just fine. So yeah, guys, you know, tell me if you guys relate to this video. Did you grow up without a father? Do you have a relationship with your dad? Or do you're estranged from your father? What resonated with you with this video? You know, do you like this video? You know, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I am signing off. You know, have a lovely day. Bye.